Welcome back to the Justice Factor as we continue our discussion on Nkandla. My guests today are the Deputy Editor of the Mail and Guardian, Moshoeshoe Monare, and Thulasizwe Simelane of eNCA. Guys, welcome to the show.
Hi, good evening.
It's been a long week in the Nkandla saga. Let me start with you, Moshoeshoe Monare. Your newspaper broke this story. Do you think this is the end of it after 5 years of investigation, after President Zuma has been again and again on the front page of your newspaper and other newspapers? Have we reached finality here, or is this just the beginning of a big headache for him?
Look, I don't think we have reached finality, and especially because I'm glad that you spoke about us breaking the story, because the one point that I wanted to emphasize is the fact that when we broke the story in 2009, the presidency, the same presidency denied that there was something happening in Nkandla, that there were construction in Nkandla. And only when Mendora saw, the reporter, then may her soul rest in peace, persisted that really there is something happening and the taxpayers are going to foot the bill. That's when the presidency actually did one unethical and unprofessional thing by releasing a statement publicly in order to soften the impact of the story. But still, answering your question, the thing is, the president, whether like the ANC says, no, this is not a judicial ruling, this is not the court of law, the president still has to account, because his being the president, his being in that office is based on public trust. And as a result, there are more questions that needs to be answered, both by parliament and both by, he has to answer about his constitutional accountability. I don't think really this should be seen as the end of the story.
The opposition is making a lot of hay out of this one, Thulasizwe. Will it die out after May 7th and everyone thinks, oh, it's 5 years from 2019 elections, so I can afford to just forget about it and we'll come back to something else?
I don't see it dying out, Justice. But one thing about the opposition, I see that the fears of the ANC, the fears that they had towards the end of last year are actually becoming a reality. You remember when they were all going all ballistic about how they wanted the report to be released immediately, because if it comes close to elections, it will have an impact on the elections. And I was down in Nkandla last weekend, and one of the key things that stand out for me was how the DA came to lay a charge on its own, a stunt for visibility during an election, but also, an opportunity for them to record one of their latest advertisements, TV adverts. It happened so quickly. 1 minute, Musi Maimane was doing interviews with us. The next minute, he was standing close to one of the homes of the president's neighbors and pointing at the extravagant upgrades across the road. So it's certainly a very opportune time for the opposition.
Yeah. We've just had Zolim Kiza on, and I'd like to know, given what he said, what your views of the political environment is. Will President Zuma take this opportunity? Will he step down? Will he be impeached by the opposition as they wish to? Or will he be recalled in this upcoming NEC meeting?
Look, I doubt it as much. I don't really see him stepping down, especially given the fact that he has been defensive in the whole thing, and also he hasn't kind of personally taken responsibility about what is happening in his own home, trying to kind of divert attention and also apportioning blame to new officials. And with the ANC, also, we must remember that it's the nature of the ANC in terms of standing by its president and standing by its officials, because even remember under Mbeki, the same thing happened where the country was really tired about the government's AIDS policy. And even when Nelson Mandela was trying to say, hey guys, people are dying in this country, we can't continue politicking, what did we see? We saw the ANC saying that we stand by Mbeki then, and also even when the then minister, Manto Chabalala Msimang, was really going on, even after the government changed its stance, we didn't see the president Mbeki firing her. I mean, I don't see that happening. That is why you will see that they continue being defensive. And
something interesting is also happening, Justice, in terms of the defensiveness that you talk about, Moshoeshoe, as far as the ANC is concerned. The defense has gone from that ballistic thing that I was talking about in December last year to a defense that says the reason you have this Nkandla report from the public protector is thanks to the ANC, which respects Chapter 9 institutions. We have a good story to tell, as they've been saying all along. And also you are seeing the emphasis on what was President Jacob Zuma's role in all of this. Well, you've seen for yourselves, the worst that the public protector could say was that the statement he made was untrue, but she accepted his bona fides in terms of the statement that he made about who built. So there is, you can see the tactic that is at play in terms of how the ANC wants this to be played out.
What happens after this election? The ANC goes to conference in 2017. We have local elections in 2016. If it is clear that a new leader will take over from President Zuma, is there a possibility then that President Zuma might be recalled mid-term, and this and Gupta Gate and other scandals that have embraced him will be used against him? Is that a possibility, Moshoeshoe?
Look, any president around the world, you know, the mid-term, especially the second term, he becomes, you know, what they call a lame duck. And especially in the ANC, where the president is kind of central to people's careers and the caucus. And at that moment, people won't feel that we really need, you know, his blessing. We don't need his patronage. So that's when, if something happens, I don't think really it will be Nkandla. If something happens, because we saw, you know, it has been Watergate. I'm sorry, it has been Waterloo.
We've got our own game.
You know, the Gupta Gate and other things. But if something happens, especially mid-term, second term, it's possible that they might, you know, the ANC might say, you know what, enough is enough.
What about factions inside the ANC? Is the ANC a united force? Is everyone united behind the decision that we're going to tough it out and support President Zuma?
Well, one of the things that I've noticed, Justice, is just how much control President Zuma has in terms of the structures. So things like the leagues. One of the key weaknesses towards the end of the Mbeki years was, you know, a lack of control over things such as the ANC Youth League, the ANC Women's League, you know, not really knowing what is happening with those leagues. And I see that President Jacob Zuma appears to have a lot of control in those, among those structures. And also, if you look at the provinces, the various provinces, you can only really talk about Gauteng, which from time to time sort of, you know, breaks rank. And it's, you know, we like to play, people like to say that it's only superficial, it's only at that level. But I get a sense that even those who are disgruntled, even those who would like to see changes, who would like to sort of upset the current establishment, are actually deciding that we're going to ride it out until his term has come to an end. But it will be interesting indeed when we actually are approaching that period of the next Congress.
Just to end on that, I mean, people that speak to us privately, who are, you know, kind of saying that really this is not on. I mean, you can see that it's kind of that tradition that has been really going on in the ANC, where the dominant faction, you know, drowns out the, you know, the other dissident voices. So you're like, he's saying that you won't see that now until, like we were saying before, that until mid-term, second term, that when you will see people's, you know, publicly saying that really this is not on and enough is enough.
Ipsos and the Sunday Times conducted a survey which was concluded in February, which said the ANC at that time was looking at 66%, 66.1%. Now that 66.1% compared to the November poll, which put them at 53%. I'm not sure how one reconciles those two, but given the release of the Nkandla report, does it have an impact? Would the ANC then take a knock from that 66%, or is it, you know, business as usual, Moshoeshoe?
Look, there's no doubt that the ANC will really feel the impact, but I'm not certain that the impact will really be so massive, given the fact that South Africans, we are still sentimental in terms of our voting patterns. I mean, I was looking at the, you know, previous electoral patterns, where you realize that actually almost 90% of South Africans are voting for three parties, and the dominant one being the ANC. And it will be from time to time the new party. We saw COPE, UDM in 1999, and now perhaps, you know, EFF and whatever. But that's the thing, that it's not even about what the behavior of the ruling party or any other party, but it's more about South African, you know.
Thulasizwe, do you agree with that?
I'm not convinced that, you know, the electoral impact of Nkandla. It's a great campaigning story in terms of if you're in the opposition. But is it necessarily something that will swing the vote one way or another, or weaken the message of the ANC that significantly, or the sentiment that Moshoeshoe talks about? I'm not convinced that it's actually at that level. And the interesting thing about the ANC and issues like Nkandla is that when they are being dismissive, they will say these are issues of the middle class. And then turn around and claim that middle class, that, well, we created that middle class. So this is part of the good story that we are telling.
Yeah. Thulasizwe Simelane of eNCA, Moshoeshoe Monare, Deputy Editor of the Mail and Guardian. Both of you, thanks so much for your time, and congratulations on the fantastic work you've been doing on this report and on other stories.
It's a pleasure.
After the break, our winner and loser of the week.
News that moves. eNCA.com.